Hey baddies, welcome back to the Baddest You podcast, where every listen takes you to the baddest version of yourself. I am your baddie level up coach, Ambria Hearty, and today we're going over self-concept, you dictate your value. Make sure you guys check me out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube at the Baddest You. Follow me on my Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Ambria Hearty, and let's get into this week's episode. So self-concept is your perception of yourself, and that's something that is one, your responsibility, two, completely in your control, and three, up to you. Your perception of yourself, your value, that's something that is in your hands. And today we're going to go over why your value comes from you and how you guys can completely utilize your value in a way where from here on out, when you're going through experiences in life, you're constantly staying in your power because you're maintaining your self-worth. So your value comes from you, okay? We were born with innate value and innate worth. Every single one of us were born with infinite value. Our experiences in life sometimes can make us feel jaded or make us feel like our value is less than when we internalize situations, we focus on past things, we have these inner child woundings, and it could make us feel like our value is way less than it actually is. But I always say we were born with infinite value, and the only thing that separates us from this value is our awareness of our value, our awareness, our own awareness of our worth. And this is our responsibility, right? So if you see yourself down here, you'll attract low quality, low bare minimum experiences, accepting less than you deserve in your love life, in your career, your finances and opportunities, all of the above, simply because that's what you feel worthy of. You're dictating your worth based on past experiences, and you're saying, because I had this, I can only have this moving forward. But a person who starts to heal and understand their worth comes from them, that their worth isn't in the shoes they wear, isn't in the money that they have, isn't in the amount of partners that were attracted to them, isn't in that time that person chose them or not, but is in their own hands. They start to ask for more out of life. So when you see yourself up here, you start to attract the best out of life. You're like, you know what, I deserve the best. And you're going to have boundaries and standards in your love life and accept the best. You're going to find yourself only accepting jobs that make you feel fulfilled, finally starting your business, having enough self-love to take yourself to the direction in life that you want to be in. And this all boils down to realizing you dictate your value, you dictate your worth. A lot of times, people go through experiences and they will deal with toxic, narcissistic individuals or energies that will try to convince them, oh, they're not worthy of much. Oh, they're asking for too much. Oh, who says that you can have that, right? But that's why it's so important to take autonomy over yourself. That's why it's so important to take full control over your value and your worth. Because if you don't, you will find yourself constantly feeling insecure, because life in and of itself is like unpredictable, constant change. We can't necessarily control what comes towards us. So if you're finding yourself constantly internalizing things and allowing external things to dictate your worth and value, you will lower your standards, you will find yourself accepting less than you deserve, and you will just live a life that you do not want to live. Which is why it's so important to just remember that I am worthy regardless of the circumstance. I'm the only person that dictates my worth, right? Nothing can touch your worth. By the way, that's another thing you guys have to realize, that you're valuable regardless of the circumstance, regardless of if this person says you're worthy or not, regardless of if you get this job, okay? If you constantly see yourself in a high light, it doesn't matter what happens to you. You'll always have the confidence to move forward in the direction that you want to move towards. And it's important for you guys to maintain this high awareness of your value and your worth so that you don't accept less out of life. Because if you see yourself as, less than, or allow a person to make you feel less than, you will stay in situations that aren't serving you. You will find that you feel a lack of control over your own life. You'll feel stuck. You'll feel discouraged, and you'll feel like you can't have anything that you want. You'll feel like a victim in life, and that's the last thing we want to feel. So just remember, your worth is your responsibility, your value. You dictate your value, and nothing can touch your value, okay? If somebody says you're ugly, and you say you're beautiful, you're beautiful. If somebody says, oh, you're not going to amount to anything in life, and you say, actually, I'm going to get everything that I want out of life, you're going to get everything you want out of life, because you're the determining factor. One of my favorite affirmations, I am the dominating force in my reality. You are the dominating force in your reality. You're the only person who can truly dictate if you win or not. You're the only person who can truly dictate if you get the things that you want out of life or not. And it's really about whether you choose to give your power up to these circumstances, these situations that you're dealing with, these people, etc. So you have to make sure you're constantly knowing who you are, you're constantly knowing your worth, regardless of what situations throw at you, what people say, what the past looks like, and what the future may seem like. You have to constantly choose in each present moment, I am worthy of the best. I don't have to lower my standards. I can have whatever I want, and I am deserving of the absolute best out of life. And nothing can touch my worth or value. And a beautiful way that you can make sure you're embodying your worth is treating yourself as a person of worth, as a person of substance. Treat yourself as a person of value. Show up in the best version of yourself. Make sure you're participating in habits that add to you. Go to the gym, wake up early, eat healthy, right? Make sure you're working on your mindset and your self-concept, and you're taking care of yourself. Honor yourself. Treat your person like a person of value. A lot of times people don't feel worthy because they're not treating themselves like they're worthy. They're not taking care of themselves. They're not investing in their relationship with themselves. They're not honoring themselves or honoring their connection to themselves. They're too busy people pleasing, or too busy being lazy, or not seeing that they're more than worthy of having what they want. So they self-sabotage. They participate in habits that are not serving them, right? They find themselves settling for less than they truly deserve out of life. But you have to treat yourself like a person of substance. You can't expect somebody else to treat you like you're worthy if you're not treating yourself like you're worthy. So that's totally up to you, right? Instead of expecting someone to love you, love yourself first. Instead of expecting money to make you feel safe, decide you're safe regardless of the money. Decide you're worthy regardless of if somebody's validating you or not. You have to stay consistent in treating yourself as a person of value, and also stay consistent in seeing yourself as a person of value regardless of the world around you. You dictate your experience, what you will tolerate, and that comes by having boundaries and standards. See, a lot of times when things happen to people, most people, and I was saying this earlier, tend to internalize situations like, oh, this person says I'm ugly, so I must be ugly, right? Instead of them understanding that I can set a boundary because I know who I am. I'm allowed to set boundaries against anything that is not a reflection of who I know I am or the treatment that I know I deserve. Because boundary setting protects you from low quality experiences. Boundary setting protects you from those people who want to try to make you feel less than, or it protects you from feeling discouraged from when unexpected situations happen in life. Because life, like I said, the only constant in life is change. And if you and your value and your worth or your work ethic or your hard work or your focus constantly is affected by these fluctuating energies around us, you will not find yourself consistently building or being the person you need to be to attain the life that you want. So make sure you're only accepting the absolute best out of life, out of connections, out of communications with other people, out of the job that you want. Only accept the best. You accept what you feel you deserve. That's something people have to realize when it comes to their value and their worth. It's not that, oh, you're just worthy of a bad relationship. It's just that you feel worthy of a bad relationship, so you're entertaining one. It's not that you're only worthy of $100. You only feel worthy of $100. You don't think you could be a multimillionaire. And because you don't feel worthy of what you want, you are settling for less. And so that's why, baddies, it's so important to make sure you know who you are. Make sure you are choosing your value and choosing your worth, regardless of what the situation looks like around you and regardless of what the circumstances look like around you. You have to dictate who you are. It's really about getting in control of like your inner child, because your ego is going to try to protect you by holding on to less than sometimes because you're more comfortable with that, or by not believing in yourself because you're more comfortable with that. But you see it as this, right? Your inner child is sitting in the back seat and you're driving a car, and your inner child's telling you, oh, drive off the cliff, oh, drive into the water, oh, we can't do this, oh, this isn't possible for us. And you're just like, okay, following what your inner child's saying, doing. But when it comes to reparenting yourself, you have to decide, nope, inner child, we are worthy. I'm not going to drive off the cliff. I'm going to keep going down the road because I know you're afraid, but I know that I can take care of myself, right? Or I know that you feel anxious about this, but I know we're worthy regardless. That's what it looks like when you're dictating your value. Having the ability to look past current situations and circumstances and dictate who you are regardless, and stay consistent in that self-belief so that you can manifest and attract the things that you want. You have to look and say, I know you feel this way, but this is the truth. I am worthy. I know the situation is triggering you in this way, but I know that I do deserve the best. And here are my boundaries and standards, and nothing could touch my value, and the only person who could dictate my value is me. The thing is, like, the universe, God, spirit, the divine, right, rewards confidence, right? When you decide who you are, when you choose yourself, when you say, this is who I am, this is what I deserve, these are the things I'm going to get out of life, you will see that reflected right back to you. I said it and I'll say it again. The universe rewards confidence. The person who has the ability to say, this is what I deserve, you will receive what you deserve. The person who has the ability to say, I'm not settling, I want better out of life, you will receive better out of life. And it really is about you understanding how worthy you are of receiving the best. The only person who dictates that is yourself. The second that you choose yourself, you will see the rest of the world choose you. That's why if you stop caring about people's opinions and validate yourself, 9 times out of 10, you'll see other people see you in that highlight as well. When you no longer are looking for the validation, or when you start dictating, I'm a multimillionaire, you will see the world around you reflect you having more money because you're taking action in that direction and you're not accepting anything less. You are the person who is driving your life. You're the person who is the master manifestor of your life. You're constantly creating. And if you could be more in control of what it is that you're creating and choose not to settle and choose the absolute best out of life because you understand your value, you dictate your value, you dictate your worth, you're going to continue to see yourself get the best out of life. So just remember, baddies, like, you're in control more than you realize. It's not about what happens to you. It's about what you choose to do next. You could transmute any situation into you coming out on top. You can choose to handle any situation in a way where you're valued as a response. And it's not about what's thrown at you. It's about how you're choosing to value yourself and how you're choosing to treat yourself as a person of value next in the situation. What are those standards that you have? Are you setting those boundaries? Are you seeing yourself highly regardless? Are you believing in yourself regardless of what the world around you shows you, right? And most importantly, you have to make sure that you're constantly elevating and being the best version of yourself and heading towards the goals and the life that you desire for yourself, regardless of if you get 100 no's, or regardless of that person in the past who told you couldn't sing, or regardless of that thing that made you feel less than, and now you're anxious and you're questioning, am I really going to have this? Is this really going to work out for me? You're the person who, at the end of the day, dictates if you can, right? So make sure you guys are being consistent and working on your self-concept. Listen to your affirmations. Listen to the Baddest You podcast, right? Make sure you guys are being consistent in meditations, be consistent in seeing yourself highly, listen to empowering music, right? Because the more that you work on your self-concept, the more that you decide, this is who I am, I'm a person with money, or I'm a person with success, I'm a person with love, I deserve, I'm a person with joy, and you decide this is who you are, that you are worthy of these things, and you do not accept less, you have boundaries against anything less, you have personal boundaries with yourself where you're not accepting less, then you will see your life fully reflect every single thing that you want and deserve. But it really is just about having the courage to dictate who you are and to see yourself highly, right? So make sure, baddies, you remember, you dictate your value. No matter what the world shows you, no matter what life throws at you, you have to constantly see yourself in a highlight regardless. And sometimes there's going to be moments when you're insecure. There's going to be moments when you're not feeling it. There's going to be moments where you're not feeling in your power. But just know you're still in your power anyway. Make sure you're treating yourself as a person of value. I remember one time I used to have social anxiety a lot, right? So I was walking down the street and I was anxious. So I had my head down, hood up. And then I had this like download where it was like, treat yourself, you are a queen, walk accordingly. It was like a download like that. I got like a message or like an intuitive hit. It was like, you are a queen, walk accordingly. So I like took the hood off, head up, shoulders back. And it was like, even though I was feeling anxious and I wasn't feeling it, I still walked like the queen I was. I still embodied my queen essence and queen energy. So you owe it to yourself to make sure you're still showing up in your power, regardless of if you feel it or not. Make sure you're still honoring your boundaries, even if you feel like no one's going to listen to them. Make sure you're still believing in yourself, even if you feel like you have 100 no's and the world around you is not reflecting that, because you are fully in control of manifesting the life that you want. And it's so important to understand that you absolutely dictate your value and your worth, nobody else. And if anything else shows up otherwise, you know who you are regardless. All right, baddies. So make sure you guys are still honoring yourselves, believing in yourselves, seeing yourselves clearly, and constantly working on your self-concept. And just remember that you are the dominating force in your reality. You are the most important relationship in your life, and you are the most powerful person in your life. As long as you're reminding yourself of who you are, you're staying in this inner self-belief, and you're having decisions, actions, and behavior patterns that reflect you being a valued individual, you will continue to see the world around you value you as the baddie that you are. So thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of the Baddest You podcast. I'm your baddie level up coach, Ambria Harty. Make sure you guys follow me on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Ambria Harty. Follow the Baddest You on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And I will see you guys on next week's episode of the Baddest You. Bye, baddies. Mwah.